that there are some persons who live in interior parts of villages where there are no good roads, electricity, water supply, hospital, and what have you. These persons suffer lots of marginalization. They feel as if they do not belong to even the country in which they reside. In this topic, I will be teaching you minority issues and the creation of states. We shall look at most of the minority problems and challenges and the solutions to those problems. But before we proceed, let's look at some of the lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, the students should be able to 1. Explain the reasons for the demand for more states in Nigeria. 2. Appraise the complexity and endless nature of state creation movements. Again, explain the recommendation of Winnick Commission. And finally, suggest solutions to minority problems in Nigeria. Now let's look at minority issues. What is minority? Minority issues. The term minority refers to a small group of people living within a particular community that is different as a result of religion, culture, their mode of dressing, and so many other things. So these persons are people who are different from the major groups by way of their language. Minority issue, therefore, refers to those challenges and problems faced in Nigeria as a result of the multi-ethnic nature of Nigeria. Again, the issue of minority has constituted to the major problems we are facing in Nigeria. Like today we have problems like banditry, kidnapping, bunkering, and so on and so forth. All these problems are associated to minority issues and agitation for more states. Let's look at inter-ethnic rivalry in Nigeria. Inter-ethnic rivalry. Of course, you would agree that ethnicity is one of the major characteristics of developing countries. And in a place or a state where there are so many ethnic groups, you find violence, insecurity, kidnapping, and so many societal evils. And Nigeria has had a lion's share from ethnic-induced violence. Again, the major ethnic groups in Nigeria are Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo. However, there are so many minority ethnic groups. There are over 250 minority groups. They include the Ogoni, Aten, Ika, Bagara, Isan, Juku, Idoma, and so on and so forth. And these ethnic groups, these minorities, often agitate and demand for more states, believing that it is the creation of more states that they can find or have a sense of belonging. What are the reasons for the demand for more states? Let's look at demand for more states. The demand for more states. The problems arising from ethnic rivalry, the agitations, all these problems makes these minorities to demand for autonomy, to demand for creation of more states. And we must take note that These minority groups are usually marginalized in most societies. And these minority ethnic groups are usually the most affected by pandemics, diseases like the HIV virus, AIDS, malaria, because they have little or no access to good health services. You can see the picture here of these girls, little children, going to far distance just to have water to drink. Minority groups are usually marginalized. Let's look at some feedback questions. Feedback questions. Feedback questions. Number 1, define the term minority. Explain minority issues. These questions are meant to test your attentiveness, whether or not you've been attentive in the course of watching this video. Write down these questions. Try to provide answers to them. If you don't understand these questions, then watch the video over again. All right. Now that you have answered these questions, let's look at reasons for the demands for more states. Reasons for the demands for more states. What have been the various reasons for the demands for more states in Nigeria? One of the reasons is domination by the major ethnic groups. The minorities are usually afraid of being dominated by the major ethnic groups. Again, one of the reasons for the demands for more states is political participation. The minority desires and wishes, or if you like, wish to participate in the governance and politics of the country. Another reason is to bring government closer, especially to the grassroots. So minorities want their own state. They want the government to be closer to them. Also, the minorities want development. They want to have a taste of development. They want their place to also be developed. So some parts of a particular state that are not developed might decide to ask for their own state, believing that that will lead to quick development. Let's look at the recommendation of Sir Henry Winnick Commission. Winnick Commission. The recommendations of Sir Henry Winnick Commission include: 1. The problems of minority issues cannot simply be solved by simply creating more states. That is, when you create states, there will still be more minority groups to agitate for
their own states. So the agitation for state creation is an issue that is endless. Fundamental human rights should be entrenched in the country's constitution to help protect the interests of the minority. He believes that, and the commission heard that, the fundamental human rights of the individuals must be protected and guaranteed by the constitution. And this is when the interest of the minority can be safeguarded. Also, the commission recommended that the police should be under federal control. This means that the police should be under the exclusive list and not the residual nor the concurrent list. Again, the commission also recommended that those places like the Niger Delta, where most resources are derived from, should have special development boards or funds. The government should create a special development boards or funds so as to give back to those places like the Niger Delta, where crude oil and some other natural resources are derived from. So let's look at the various solutions to minority issues in Nigeria. What are the various solutions to minority issues in Nigeria? Solutions to minority issues. Among the various solutions to minority issues include the following. 1. Federal character. Of course, federal character is all about representing equality of all states and sections of the country in the course of distributing resources, political appointments, localization of industries, award of contracts, and so on and so forth. So, as far as federal character remains, then minority groups and their interests will be safeguarded. What that means is that there will be distribution of federal amenities and resources, and even to appointments based on quota system to all governmental levels, which means that all levels will experience at least one thing or the other as far as federal character is concerned. Again, another solution is the rule of law. If there is rule of law, then the rights of everyone will be safeguarded and guaranteed. Of course, rule of law means the supremacy or predominance of law, and it was propounded by A.V. Dicey, who wrote a book, Introduction to the Law of the Constitution, which was published in 1885. So the rule of law means that the law will prevail, which means that the rights of the minorities and also the rights of the poor will be safeguarded. Again, there should be power shift or rotation. When there is power shift and power rotation, it will give room to other parts of the country experiencing a taste of power. When this part of the country become president, then other time another part will also experience presidency. By so doing, there will be less agitation from the minority groups. Another is fundamental human rights. Of course, fundamental human rights is the rights of every citizen. When the fundamental human rights are guaranteed, then minority issues must have been solved. In a country where fundamental human rights are held sacrosanct, when fundamental human rights are respected, when there is no abuse of human rights, then there is less crisis arising from minority groups. Another solution is independence of the judiciary. When the judiciary is independent, then there is less problems arising from the minority groups. So another solution is what? Independence of the judiciary. This involves or implies that the judiciary should be given free hand to do their duties, which is interpretation of the laws. Let's look at evaluation questions. Evaluation questions. Evaluation questions. Define the term minority. 2. Explain minority issues. Identify the reasons for the demands of more states. Highlight the recommendations of Winnick's Commission. What are the solutions to the minority problems in Nigeria? Before attempting these questions, ensure that you have attentively watched this video. Ensure that you have attentively watched this video.